movie presents with a pencil sketch of Christopher Robin finding animals in the woods and naming them. The animals include Winnie-the-Pooh, a donkey, a piglet, Eeyore, and Ao. They quickly become the best of friends, and Christopher visited them frequently and brought them food. One day, when he left them all to pursue his dream of becoming a doctor in college, everything changed. Winter arrived and the group of friends starved to death. Winnie and the other members of the group lost their brains and went insane. They buried Eeyore's remains, vowed to never speak to one another again, and rejected any hint of humanity in them. 5 years later, we jump ahead to see Christopher Robin and his fiancée strolling through the forest. They have returned to the woods and Christopher tells her about his friends. Mary is dubious and attributes it to Christopher's exaggerated imagination from his childhood. Suddenly, there is a suspicious sound in the woods and Christopher rushes over to investigate. He discovers Winnie's run-down home and a bloody pot. His fiancée is terrified and tells him she wants to leave, but Christopher is determined to learn what has happened to his friends. As they search, they pass by Eeyore's grave in the background and eventually arrive at Piglet and Winnie's hideout, where they are shocked to discover animal skulls everywhere. They hear someone approaching and quickly hide, saying they are very afraid. When they believe the coast is clear, they proceed down the stairs, taking care not to make a sound. Suddenly, Piglet reappears, pulling a chain around Mary's neck. When Chris looks around, he sees Winnie-the-Pooh crouching there in the shadows, fearing for his life as lightning strikes. Chris watches as she gets eliminated and flees for his life. Christopher begs Winnie desperately, and Winnie also shows up behind him, trapping him. The scene then shifts to a sketch in which Piglet and Winnie toss Robin to the ground and drag him, seemingly killing him. The film then shifts to Maria, a girl seeing a therapist. She talks about her anxiety and how she can't seem to live a normal life. The doctor suggests that she try to get away somewhere where she can clear her head. Maria and her college friends make the decision to spend a few days in the dangerous 100-acre woods, where they stay in an unknown cabin in the forest. As soon as they arrive at the cabin, Jessica takes away all of Maria's friends' phones to keep them from getting distracted. Next, we see another friend named Tina making her way to meet them. She's not sure where to go exactly and tries calling them. When she can't get through, she decides to go to the woods to relieve herself. Suddenly, she hears a noise behind her. When she turns to look back, she is horrified to see Winnie staring at her. Tina runs away, finds an old warehouse, and crawls inside. She tries to hide from Winnie, but he finds her and repeatedly smashes her head against a metal object. He then throws her head first into a threshing machine, ending her life. In the next scene, we see Maria and her friends conversing while sitting at the cabin. She tells them about a stalker who has been bothering her. Her friends understand her situation and sympathize with her. The film then transports us back to the forest, where we see a blooded Winnie, a piglet riding a dynamo, and Christopher, who is revealed to be still alive. Christopher tries to beg Winnie to stop, saying he can't take it any longer, but Winnie just stands there silently. Next, we see a flashback of a young Christopher, whom Winnie mistakenly believed to be his best friend. A tear falls from Winnie's face, and he goes berserk, smashing everything in a fit of rage. Winnie then picks up a whip and uses it to teach Christopher a lesson. Here, we see Lara having fun in the hot tub without the other girls realizing that she had returned her phone and was taking selfies for her Instagram. As she looks through the photos, she is startled to see Winnie in the background. She looks around, but nothing is there. So she goes back into the jacuzzi and forgets that a piglet and some poop are approaching from behind her. The piglet covers her mouth with a rag, knocking her unconscious. When she wakes up, she is stuck in the middle of the road, with a car's headlights shining on her. She struggles to free herself. We then see Piglet placing his foot on her while Pooh slowly drives forward, running over her and crushing her head. When the other girls hear the commotion and rush to the scene, they are shocked to find Lara's remains and start to panic. They quickly rush back into the cabin to warn the others and notice a message. The group decides to stick together and equip themselves with whatever they can find after seeing written in blood on the glass doors. Suddenly, they hear something outside and we see Winnie wandering around and looking through the windows. The lights then go out, and the group unintentionally split up. One of the girls are seen going upstairs. We catch one of them opening an underwear drawer and seeing a revolver. When Piglet unexpectedly appears from behind Zoe and Alice as they approach the pool, he strikes Alice with a hammer, plunging Zoe into the water. We then witness Piglet remove his reliable chain and slam it into the water. When Zoe ducks the blows, Piglet becomes even more agitated. He then rushes into the pool and follows her, smashing Zoe's skull with his hammer as Alice wakes up and witnesses her buddy being killed, knocking her out once more. The Piglet then approaches Alice and the movie at a slow pace. Cuts back to Jess and Maria at the top of the stairs. They descend to the pool and see their friend floating in the water. They look through the windows and see Pooh and Piglet carrying Alice off somewhere. Deciding to follow them in an attempt to save their friend, they follow Pooh and Piglet to a secret camp in the woods where they tie up Alice, who gulps down honey and hears something. He moves to Alice, who has regained consciousness. Pooh leans over her when it's safe to do so. Jess and Maria head over to Alice and free her. As they leave the house, they hear someone else scream, so they decide to go help. They quickly untie Christopher, who is hanging from a hook, and he falls to the ground. Just then, they hear another cry for help, and he tells them to go. The girls come across a woman who is tied up. She is hurt, and her face is covered in blood. She tells them that Piglet and Pooh have taken her captive and are holding her here. She continues by saying that although Piglet and Pooh are able to communicate a little, they prefer to work in silence in order to free the woman. As they leave, the woman sees her deformed reflection and screams aloud. The girls attempt to calm her down, but it's too late. Next, we see Piglet emerge from the darkness, hoisting his chain into the air, and they walk in circles around the fire while she points the gun at him. When she turns to retreat, Pooh appears from behind her, flinging her to the ground before spraying her with blood from a jar. The other girls decide to flee as Piglet rushes over to her and begins to eat her face, but Alice finds a hammer and stays behind, lashing out at Piglet. The other girls flee into the forest, Pooh following closely behind. Meanwhile, we see Alice teaching Piglet a lesson by striking him repeatedly with his own hammer until he passes out. Suddenly, Pooh appears behind Alice and kills her by impaling her on the tree with his machete. The girls then make their way to a road, where they manage to get a car to stop and tell the men what happened. The men initially believe the girls are intoxicated, but as they stand in the road, Pooh appears in the background. The men decide to assist the girls and approach him carrying tools. One of them hits the bear in the face with an iron rod, causing it to not even flee. The man then gives the order for the rest of them to attack him, and they begin throwing everything at him. After a short while, they realize they are in grave danger. When Pooh, still standing, starts to take them out one by one, the last man tries to run back towards the car, but Pooh kills him. The girls panic and realize they are in serious danger. They manage to start the car quickly and drive straight into Pooh. The girls scream in terror as Pooh climbs onto the roof, and when the girl slams on the brake, sending Pooh flying through the air. When Maria regains consciousness, she is horrified to find Pooh dragging Jess out by the hair. As she looks on, she sees Pooh holding up Jess's severed head in the car lights. Maria makes a valiant attempt to flee, but to no avail. After reaching her and removing her from the vehicle, Pooh hovers over her, poised to deliver the final blow. Suddenly, a fast-moving vehicle slams into Pooh, trapping him. To Maria's dismay, Christopher grabs her and tells her they must flee. It's then that we realize Pooh is still alive and manages to push the car away and free himself. A loud explosion occurs, and Pooh approaches them and grabs Maria. Christopher stuffs his backpack and begs Pooh to let her alone. Just when it appears like Chris is about to give up, he murmurs, "You left him with that," and ends the conversation. He promises to be with him in the jungle forever. Maria Chris is utterly devastated, and Maria collapses into his arms as Pooh approaches him. Chris succeeds in standing up and bolts into the forest. The final scene features the insane Pooh stabbing Maria's corpse numerous times, and that's where the movie ends. You've watched this far in the video. Click the subscribe button to join our movie family and get more movie recaps like this one.